Hello Internet, I'm Frank Baldwin aka Sandy Brushtail and welcome to another episode of Furry Fandom Stories, where I take a look back at my own experiences within the fandom. I like to comment on the more relevant topics floating around the fandom known as furry. For this video, I'm going to be rounding off my little look at Anthro comics that I think furries should be more familiar with. Today I'm going to be looking at a colourful, no-holds-barred steampunk adventure, Brian Talbot's Grandville. Grandville was published in 2009 and the first book of the graphic novel series drawn by British artist Brian Talbot. The second book, Grandville Mon Amour, was published in 2010 and the sequels Grandville Bête Noire and Grandville Noël being published in 2012 and 2014 respectively. Talbot named his work after the 19th century French caricaturist Jean-Ignace Isidore Girard, who published his work under the pseudonym J.J. Grandville. In the acknowledgement page, Talbot also cites being influenced by Arthur Conan Doyle, science fiction artist Albert Robida, and Mary Tourtel, who created Rupert Bear. The world of Grandville is set in an alternate version of history. In this reality, history followed the same course as ours up until the outcome of the Napoleonic Wars. In Grandville's history, Napoleon's forces defeated the Duke of Wellington at Waterloo and Nelson at Trafalgar. This resulted in Napoleon successfully conquering the British Isles. After years of imperial French rule, British citizens managed to rise up, drive the French out of Britain, and in turn gain their independence. So in Grandville, the United Kingdom is a united republic. Humans also exist in this reality, but they are seen more as a minority. The story of Grandville revolves around Detective Inspector Archibald LeBrock of Scotland Yard and his assistant, Detective Roderick Ratsey. The story begins with the supposed suicide of British citizen Raymond Liotta.
I see what you did there.
A diplomat with ties to the Foreign Office. However, LeBrock muses that foul play may be involved, as Liotta was found with a gun in his right hand when he was known as being left-handed. Soon enough, LeBrock and Ratsey journey to Paris and will soon stumble across a conspiracy that will shake Europe to its core. When they check into their hotel, LeBrock and Ratsey notice that there's a gun show going on that is attended by some well-known industrialists. LeBrock and Ratsey begin their investigation by checking out some of Liotta's old hangouts. After going to a bar and questioning one of the burlesque showgirls, LeBrock goes backstage where he finds one of the girls being roughed up by some thugs. What follows is one of the many fight scenes in this book. Brian Talbot also cites film director Quentin Tarantino as an influence, and there are scenes in Grandville where this does come across. Especially a scene which resembles a part from Reservoir Dogs, and oh, we'll get to that. The investigation takes LeBrock and Ratsey to the British Embassy, where they try to get more information on Liotta's work. However, this turns out to be another dead end. This is also where we get some more world building. 2 years before the events of Grandville, Paris suffered its own terrorist attack, where an airship loaded with explosives crashed into the Robida Tower, which is a fictional landmark before anybody goes Googling for it. So Paris saw its own 9/11, and there's even a conspiracy theory attached to it. There's also evidence of some civil unrest in Imperial France, with demonstrations of protests against French intervention in Southeast Asia, but the book at this stage doesn't go into any specifics. So the story basically goes on like this. LeBrock gets tailed, fight scene, then cut to Ratsey actually doing all the detective work, i.e. following up leads and making sure that they're dead ends. There's also a plot point about this shadowy secret society that has ties to the Imperial family. It's basically a cross between the Illuminati and the Skull and Bones Society. Somehow they're trying to stir up anti-British sentiment so that the public will get behind a second invasion of Britain, and I have a feeling that this will all come together in the sequels. So the story continues when Ratsey gets hold of a photograph that contains another big lead. This leads to a scene where LeBrock and Ratsey question a drug baron, and they get information about one of the animals in the photo, who turns out to be the Archbishop of Paris. They then break into the bishop's house, tie him to a chair, and this is where that scene from Reservoir Dogs comes in.
still. Hold still, yeah. Fuck.
Yep. LeBrock cuts the bishop's ear off. And after they get the information they want, LeBrock then douses the bishop in brandy and then lights him on fire. This is the scene in the comic where I see LeBrock kind of like a cross between James Bond and Dirty Harry. I mean, seriously, how can a detective inspector from Scotland Yard go around Paris causing this much mayhem and not incur a serious amount of paperwork? Did Scotland Yard give this guy a license to kill? Anyway, when they get back to the hotel, LeBrock is given a message from his squeeze Sarah, the burlesque girl that he rescued from the thugs earlier on in the book, and she asks him to come to her flat. It turns out to be a trap, and a fight then breaks out. Ratsy gets wounded, but LeBrock does pull through, but only after getting the shit kicked out of him. So Ratsy's out of action, and LeBrock takes it upon himself to foil the Secret Society's plans. And I don't really want to spoil anything else from here on in, because the conclusion to this story is so fantastic. So, that was the first book of Grandville. Now, I haven't read any of the sequels, but after picking this up and reading it again, I might be willing to check them out. Firstly, I'm not into steampunk. I don't hate it, I just don't get it. I mean, how exactly is a steam-powered jetpack supposed to work? But I will say that having a Queen Victoria-like setting where they have airships and there's this great big railway bridge spanning across the English Channel does sound really cool. As for the characters, you can tell that LeBrock and Ratsy do share the Sherlock Holmes and Watson dynamic. But as previously stated, LeBrock is more like Dirty Harry than Sherlock Holmes. I've got to say, when it comes down to the actual detective work, Ratsy seems to be the only one actually following up any leads. I will say that LeBrock does come across more of a psychotic thug who likes his punch-ups way too much. There's even a scene where he threatens the catering staff at the hotel he's staying at because they won't serve him a full English breakfast. Sarah doesn't really have much character development in this story. She does come across as this damsel in distress. For the most part, she's just there. She doesn't really do anything. And yes, her and LeBrock actually end up sleeping together because Sarah loves a big, strong badger who is mesmerised by her tits. You could tell when reading this book that Brian Talbot's main influence in this was the Rupert Bear comics. Hell, Rupert himself makes a cameo appearance. Also, by looking at the way he draws his human characters, you can tell that Brian Talbot's also had some influences from Hergé's Tintin. Hell, his dog even turns up in this book as a key witness, and LeBrock actually affectionately nicknames him Snowy. The action scenes are very eye-catching, and they flow nicely from panel to panel, and they're mostly drawn in panels. There are very few splash pages. The action scenes themselves do come across as brutal, with more than a few characters wearing the proverbial crimson mask, but they don't come across as gratuitous as LeBrock is fighting for his life. Even though LeBrock and Sarah do end up sleeping together, there is no full frontal nudity, and it's all very suggestive and tastefully drawn. If you're looking for furry smut, you won't find it here. Whereas Mouse was dark and thought-provoking, this is the complete opposite.
If you like your furry comics to be action-packed and peppered with a grand mystery that's waiting to be solved, this is the graphic novel for you. The setting is imaginative, with references to real-world events, and the technology used, whilst fanciful, does come across as scientifically plausible. The action is fast, mean and heavy. It's science fiction, a detective story, and political intrigue that all comes together in an easy-to-pick-up and read package.
After reading this, I am a little bit more curious about the adventures of D.I. LeBrock, and I hope I've sparked your curiosity as well. Give these books a look, and also if you're a fan of these books, leave a comment below in the doodly-doo. What was your favourite Grandville book? And that wraps up another episode of Furry Fandom Stories, and in fact, that wraps up my first season. I hope you fuzzbutts have enjoyed watching this series, and if there was a specific kind of episode you would like me to keep doing in the future, let me know. As usual, please feel free to like, share and subscribe, and as always, you can follow me on Twitter at SandyBFox. And I hopefully will see you. Just for the weekend 2019, this Easter weekend at the Bristol Filton Holiday Inn, and as usual, I will be at Confuzzled, Hilton Birmingham Metropole at late May Bank Holiday weekend. I'm Frank Baldwin, aka Sandy Brushtail, and I'll see you again for another Furry Fandom story. Until then, take care. What? Do I have something on my face?
Hello, Internet! My name is Frank Baldwin, aka Sandy Brushtail, and welcome to a brand new video bollocks known as Furry Dig. And no, cut the thing. That was fucking stupid. Just be yourself. Don't try to be like Nostalgia Critic or anything, right? Rooms left at the Crown Plaza, which was the Overflow Hotel, and fuck's sake, I'm just gonna have to dip in and out quickly between paragraphs to get under the fan. My makeup is starting to run. It's very warm in here. I don't believe it. I flipping did 5 fucking read-throughs of this script before I bloody fucking did this to myself. Oh, fucking hell. Oh, Jesus Christ. It's alright, Frank, get it all out. You towel, dripping sweat. Oh, again, you had to do this on the warmest day of the year. Okay. Look, the icon is flashing, come on, go. As soon as I get in front of a camera, it's a whoosh. Mine goes blank. Oh God, look, I have this whole flipping thing. Oh, what is it? What is it about me whenever I get in front of the camera? I can't remember anything. And outside Gloucester train station, a group of... Buzz, you're in the shots! Got to go again, my cat was in the shot. Okay, right, fall straight to bed. Only to be awoke. As for that evening, I did attend karaoke, and after singing my song, I did feel a little bit better about it. No, stick to the script, Frank. Okay, then I'll try again from the top. Because, yeah, that does end in a sentence, but you're supposed to flow into the next one. I've had this jersey since fucking hell. Start again. Before you know it, you've got yourself a persona, a Fur Affinity account. Oh, fuck's sake. You know what? You should have memorized this instead of playing San Andreas. You get 1 day to film. Come on. Oh, for God's... Go away, Google! I don't need you. Where's my script gone? God, if it's not one thing, it's a solid another. I'm not gonna say which one. I am not endorsing those bastards. No. Don't say that.
It's not a finish. It's not a fetish.
Defense. Fuck's sake. Try that again from the beginning. My tail in the club to GJ. After the parade, I cleaned myself up. I got some food, and then I got back into makeup. Go. If you like the show, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Fuck's sake. I'm Frank Baldwin, aka Sandy Brushtail, and I'm holding my jaw because Spirit Goat is fucking shit! Oh, that white balance is fucking awful.
Yay! That was good. Yay!